Hello.
Hi.
Hello everybody and welcome. Welcome to this new, hello Pilbug, hello Kirre. Welcome to this new series of episodes of Contemporary Music Talks, the series dedicated to interviews and chats with musicians and artists connected to experimental and research music. And today I'm super happy to have Johann Merrich here with me, and as you can see we are in a completely different place from the usual one where we sit during my live streams. So today we are in Cartiera di Vas, which is a very old industrial building in the Belluno province here in Italy. It was a place where they made paper, and they are still making it. There is some people that took this place and make it something new, and they are also making paper again to connect with the past of this building and of this place. And today we are here with Johann Merrich, and we are talking about, first of all, about her book. Let's put it here. A short history of electronic music and its women protagonists. I think we can just leave a little word to Johann and see if she can, present a little bit this book.
Yeah. First of all, I'm super happy to be here and with you, and thank you, Andrea, for asking me to introduce you this book. This is the first official book presentation, so it's like a worldwide event. And yesterday we had a little talk at Heroines of Sound, that is a festival in Berlin. And Heroines of Sound is one of the two partners that believed in my work and helped me to reach the fund necessary to pay the translation works for this book. And so about these two partners, the first one is, of course, Heroines of Sound, and the second one is a foundation, the Marianne Stegman Foundation. And it's thanks to them if you will be able to read this book, that is the translation from my previous Italian book, which is called Breve storia della musica elettronica e delle sue protagoniste. So it's exactly the
same translation,
simple translation of the title. And the road to reach the final version of this book has been very, very long, because I always wanted to translate it from Italian into English. But of course, as you know, you cannot take like your text, your Word document, and you cannot use Google Translate to translate the book. It's not very clever. I mean, if you want to have like the proper words translated in the correct way. So I had a super big luck to find two gorgeous translators, which are Barbara and Mattia, and they work with an agency that is called BBL Translations. And the extraordinary thing is that when I was looking for someone who was able to translate the book, I had also the need to find someone who knew not just a little bit, but who knew a lot issues about history of electronic music, about technological stuff, terminology and words that are really related to this world of synthesizer and devices, whatever. Plus, the second challenge was to find a person that was also able to understand the weight of the words, because when you speak about gender issues and gender studies, you have to be really, really careful with the words that you are going to use. And I am now quite used to do this job in Italian, that is my own language. But I really had the need to find someone who was connected with this kind of feeling and who had the ability to understand how the power of words. And so, with a very strange road through She Said So, which is a network that is connecting women musicians all over the world to help them to improve their career, I found out the name of Barbara, and then that's it. That's the story of this perfect combination, because Barbara and Mattia is a musician, and also Barbara knows a lot about electroacoustic and electronic music history, and they have the feeling about this word issue.
Okay.
And they did really an amazing job keeping all my style really perfect in the same way I was writing it in Italian. It has been now translated into English. So this is probably a quite long introduction.
Well, I think I'm here for long introduction, and I like them a lot. Usually, I like to go deep into stuff, so I think it's perfect. And also, I think also the audience likes it, especially if we are talking about these topics. And yeah, of course, if there are any kind of questions, you can obviously write it in the chat, and we will try to answer soon. So the first thing that I was super interested in when I was reading your book in the past days, starting from the beginning, a little bit from the beginning of the book, was the super interesting connection that there is between electronic music and radio. The fact that radio was really a field where electronic music was able to grow and develop. So yeah, I don't know if you want to speak a little bit about it, just because of course we can have a wider idea about this thing.
Yeah, electronic music was born inside the radio workshop, as you already said, and this happened just for a very simple situation, and it's because a radio station had all the devices that were needed to the future electronic musicians and composers to create their own music and to do some experimentations. So if you think about music concrete or electronic music in Germany, both they born inside two different radio stations. Mm-hmm. And even other places, other electronic music centers, for example, Studio di Fonologia in Milan, it was a place where people had to build and compose music for the Italian radio, or the televisions, Italian national television. So it was quite normal to see new music coming out from radio places. Of course, the most famous, I think now, it's BBC Radiophonic Workshop. Because it hosted a lot of women composers, probably like a great number, and even Pierre Schaeffer workshop in Paris had a lot of women composers working along with him and Pierre Henry, and yeah. And this habit of creating new sounds for radio dramas, and for televisions, documentary, or jingle spots, whatever was useful, arrived and reached different countries all over the world. For example, in Japan, they built up electronic music workshop. Mm-hmm. Just taking as an example the workshop where Stockhausen was working in Germany. It was like a kind of model. Mm-hmm. In South America, the model was Studio di Fonologia in Milan. and other countries had as a special model chauffeur workshop, for example, as Maripad in Denmark. She was absolutely inspired by chauffeur oeuvre and work and technique. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how worldwide it was this kind of this kind of new movement. There were a lot of energy that connected different places on Earth, and in your book there are a lot of examples of all this new world popping up from this situation, this radio world. It's super interesting, and also I found really fascinating reading about the fact that of course they were experimenting a lot, and at the same time they were producing sound especially for radio, so they were like creating a sort of new language connected to the new medium that they were facing in that moment, that were it was at the beginning. So I think it's super interesting. And do you think that there is some sort of similar situation nowadays where electronic music is connected with not only with a practical thing, but also there is a lot of research and they are combined in such a unique way? Do you think there is something similar nowadays? I was thinking about it a couple of days ago, and it's difficult to find an example nowadays about this kind of movement, of general movement.
Well, this is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Not an easy question. I don't know, because I think that there are so many experimentation fields nowadays that it's quite difficult to find out a kind of path that is leading a greater process, or but somehow if you think about club music, which is a strange area where you don't think that experimentation are existing, but if you think about club music, probably they are kind of creating a special music for a special place and for a special occasion that is having fun and dancing, and to probably to have some reaction in the audience that is listening. So they have, you cannot do experimental music inside a club, isn't it? Probably if people want to go and dance and I play or you play, wouldn't be really the nicest thing to do. But maybe, I don't know, but it's a hard question.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I was really having an hard time figuring out, this kind of situation in our days, actually. It's an open question also for me. Club music, I think it's a good example, because obviously it's composition for that specific situation has a very practical meaning, because of course you need the people to dance, and the music is composed for that purpose. But also, of course, you are using a lot of techniques that can be really interesting and experimental in a certain way. So it's a good example. I don't know if I have another example about a similar situation, because of course if I'm thinking about places where they made pure experimental music, like for example academies or schools, I don't have this feeling of there is a connection between the language that you are using and an outdoor situation. So it's something a little bit stuck in that specific place and area.
It's like for your consumption, when you are there, you are listening into a concert.
Exactly. It's just, academic music, even if I know many of my friends studied there, and I love their work, but of course it's always difficult to find this this connection with the outside of that world. Yeah, so it's an open question, but I'm always looking for this kind of of situations where experimental music and research music find a way to to be able to act into reality in different ways.
And there is also a strange thing that I've noticed, and it's that as experimental musicians, we are working a lot and doing a lot of researches on sound. But what is really changing the shape of the music? It's coming not from the experimental music scene, but from the pop music scene. For example, think about trap music. It's a kind of big revolution, no? I don't know about the trap music in other countries, but in Italy it was quite strange to see this super wave of electronic music into pop music festival like Sanremo, and now you turn on your radio and you can hear all this weird, young, strange music with a lot of very deep beats, and I really enjoy a lot the beats from trap. Or another example is an Italian pop singer that it's named Io sono un cane.
Oh, yeah.
So he composed this record, his latest album, Ira, which is amazing, and it's super experimental. He has got a lot of, you can feel the research on sound he did, and the first time I heard about I heard this album, I was completely astonished, because I was saying, okay, but what are we doing as experimental musician? If a pop musician is able to build up this kind of masterpiece, why we are still stuck here with our spatialization and electroacoustic micro tonalities, So it's I think that music is taking really strange directions, somehow.
True. Yeah, they are really good examples. True. Yeah, I think, for example, of course, the sound design in trap music it's very impressive sometimes. And also I'm thinking that we are coming from the indie pop wave here in Italy, so it was really a fresh touch on that side, talking about pop music, obviously. Always open questions anyway, because we don't like answers. I prefer questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, the title of the book is Electronic Music and its Women Protagonists, so there is this huge focus on the role of women composers into electronic music. Why did you decide to focus on that aspect of the history of electronic music?
Well, first of all, because when I started playing electronic music, it was 2 days ago. Joking. No, it was in 20 years ago.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Well, that's not
and I didn't know any women, any friends, female friends, doing electronic music, and I started to do it because my brother, he's an electronic musician, and I built synthesizer, and all our friends were involved in electronic music production, also with the first computer software like Fruity Loops, naive, very naive way of productions, and so I felt a little bit isolated, and I didn't know neither any woman in the history of electronic music. Then my brother gave me a book that I really loved, which is Analog Days, The Invention and Impact of the Moog Synthesizer by Trevor Prince and Frank Trocco. And I found out a couple of names. Wendy Carlos, that I was knowing because of her soundtracks for Stanley Kubrick's movies. And then I found out Suzanne Ciani. And then I found out Bibi Barron, and I was completely amazed because I thought, okay, so maybe women were part of electronic music history, but the problem is that we don't know anything about them. And I started to do some researches. So from there I wrote my first book, Le Pioniere della Musica Elettronica, in 2012, and then I understood that there is an infinite landscape of women that were taking part in the development of technologies and styles, and it's like a kind of ocean full of names, but that you cannot see. You are very used to hear about the names of John Cage or Alvin Lucier or whatever you like incredible people. Mm-hmm. But no books are telling you that even women were doing experimentations, and even women were creating graphical scores or sound installations. For example, one of the first sound installation come from Japan, and it has been made by a woman. You know, there are like crazy things. The trouble is that we are not used to tell the history in the proper way. We are used to tell the history by using our point of view on reality, and sometimes our point of view it's a little bit corrupted by our cultural environment. Mm-hmm. So if we are trained somehow to ignore pieces of history, then for us it will be quite normal to have a kind of blind vision of reality. Mm-hmm. And this happens not only with women in electronic music, but if you think about art history, for example, you can say, no, but I know Frida Kahlo and then Artemisia Gentileschi, and then that's it. Yeah. But it's not like that, you know. Even John Cage's wife, Xenia, she was like a surrealist sculptress.
But who knows?
No one knows. No, so it's really necessary to start to gain new habit and to start to see things with a new perspective, a perspective that is similar to our point of view. I mean, if you are used to consider women and girls like your colleague without thinking that they are like kind of
See. I got it, yeah.
Okay, so if you are used to treat in an equal way people, you have also to start to change your point of view on history and start to write everything again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's totally a point. Obviously, also in our field, of course, of experimental and electronic music, it's really important. Also because it has a relatively young history. It's kind of not so old. We have like, I don't know, 150 years of history, so it's not that big.
Yeah.
And being able to watch it and watch back to it with a new perspective, I think it can also lead to, to new perspective for the future of the field of electronic and experimental music.
Yeah, even because this kind of books are able to create positive role models for young women and young girls, And so we really need to produce more values, more positive values that can encourage women to improve their, not improve, but to be present also in fields that are considered like male-dominated fields.
Here in the chat there's Kira is saying Synth History on Instagram has been good at bringing forth women. Synth History, I don't know this this page, I need to check it. Thank you for the suggestion. Yeah, I think that creating this kind of approach can, of course, can open a lot of possibilities in the future. Totally. That's something we need to do. I think I feel, for example, and all the work that I do about electronic music and experimental music is not just producing music. The idea is always to create this sort of cultural context that has to be as much inclusive as possible, and has to be the most varied as possible, because we need this kind of vision, especially because we are experimental musicians. We are not reproducing things that are done. We are trying to develop something new, so we need a different point of view, obviously, on things.
It must be multicultural. You have to take care about the stories of all the people that it has been cut out from the history.
Yeah, totally. Just a simple question. What's your favorite chapter of your book?
Nice.
Not that simple.
No, not so much. Well, I've got a preference I've got two preferences.
Okay.
So the first is silence does not exist, because it tells about the greatest revolution of happened into experimental music that arrived with the work of John Cage and his silent work. And it's a chapter that explores the importance of the daily life listening. So it's something that it's important for me because it deals with acoustic ecology, and it's a field of sound research that I really enjoy a lot. And it shows the work of women that now are starting to be rediscovered. For example, the work of Hildegard Westerkamp, or the work of Anya Lockwood. And it speaks also about the work of Pauline Oliveros, which is my personal idol. And so it contains, in a certain way, also my artistic view of experimental music. So for this reason, probably that chapter is my first favorite, because I enjoyed a lot to do the researches and to write it, because when you really love something, you only want to read about the thing, and you go like kind of obsessive, compulsive person. I mean, I do this, so. Yeah. And the second chapter that I love about this, but it's like, this book is like my child, so I cannot say one chapter it's better than another one, all the chapters are like my children, so. But the other one is the one about Lady Ada Lovelace, who was the inventress of the first programming language. And I enjoyed it because there are a lot of misunderstanding about Lady Ada Lovelace's life. If you take almost all the books about her, they tell like a kind of creepy story, saying that she was addicted to opium, and that she was every day drunk, and she was like betting on horses, and she lost all the money of her noble family because she was like crazy for horses, and she was betraying her husband with the youngest man, etc. And nothing is true, you know. Like there has been like a great mistake about her life, because she was the daughter of Lord Byron, the poet. And if you know a little bit the work of Lord Byron, Byron was like a kind of very turbulent person, and also all his heroine and heroes are kind of strong and lunatic people. And so it happened that Ada Lovelace, his daughter, has been shaped on the shade of these Byronism characters. So I have been able to find out a couple of books that are has got letters inside, original letters. And there you can understand that it's all fake. From her letters, from the studies of this great scholar who's Betty Alexandra Toole, she did a really accurate study about Ada Lovelace's life, and she found out all the missing pieces, and she reconstructed the real life of Lady Ada Lovelace. And the thing that came out is that if people say that she was like opium addicted, it was because she had cancer. She had cancer, and she had to took this kind of medications and drugs just to feel better. And it was quite normal during the Victorian era to use like cannabis, laudanum, opium, and a lot of things just as pain relief methods, you know. And about the horse races, it was completely normal in the Victorian era to go to this kind of races and to bet on horses, even if maybe for women were not allowed to use their money if they were having money to bet, but it was quite common to find someone and you could give your money to this person and he was in charge for betting at your place. But it was super normal. I mean, Lady Ada Lovelace was going with Charles Dickens to see horse races, and it was like the moment of the birth of the leisure concept of the British middle class. So it was not strange, and there are no traces about this kind of economic collapse that she did betting on horses, you know. So, no, it really. This Betty Alexandra Toole, she had a look to the family bank accounts and the register, the administration register of the family, and she didn't find any kind of traces about it, you know. So I enjoyed this chapter, which is quite long, with a lot of letters from Michael Faraday to Lady Lovelace, because the past biographer said that Lady Ada Lovelace tried to have the favor of Michael Faraday. She tried to seduce him. And it's not true. She just tried to be his assistant. She was completely in love with his research, and she really asked him, please, can I be your assistant? And he told her, no, I'm sorry, because I'm too old and I even don't remember my name, so I cannot teach you anything. But the real story is this one, and there are all the letters that are speaking about the reality, you know, without a distortion lens. So I like the idea that I have been able to put some truth on Ada Lovelace's grave. And yeah,
that's super interesting. Really, Kira is saying in Norway there is a pretty big organization working for equality and gender balance in music, offering courses and stuff. There is good reason to have such initiatives.
Yeah.
What's the name, Kira, if I may ask, if you're still here in the chat? Please write it so we can go back and check maybe. Thank you very much. Okay, well. Should we talk about maybe what will happen here soon? Do you want to introduce a little bit the news?
Yeah. So what's gonna happen? Well, today we are here at this fabulous paper mill in Vas, which is a small town in the mountains. And here on the 23rd of July, so in a couple of weeks, we organized a special evening with another chat with you, another talk with you, and the artists that will come to join us, which are an electronic musician from Berlin, from Poland. He is currently living in Berlin and he is having an artistic residency in Venice. And he is doing electronic music with modular synthesizers. And he will join us to share with us his latest researches with his modular system. And of course, he will speak with you. So you will ask him what's going on with his career. And in the same time, we will have also the presentation of another important news. It's a new project by Tommaso Mantelli and Blank Records, which is another label from Berlin. And they are presenting the Lesder Sessions. Lesder Session is a kind of weird project, complicated. It's not a matter of improvisations. It's a project that puts in contact artists that never met, experimental musicians that never worked together. And during this kind of during this improvisation, they explore each musical expression, because usually these artists are also coming from different scenes. So there are people working with electroacoustic music, but coming from independent rock. There are other people playing more electronic music coming from the pop scene. Then there are also us, like Impero della Luce, so we are completely experimental, lunatic people. And it's a new way of it's a new kind of way of thinking electronic and experimental improvisation. Okay. Tommaso Mantelli, who has a recording studio nearby Piave River here in Veneto region, he had this idea to record these improvisations and to create a kind of serie. It's not a kind, it's a serie. Series of records with different musicians that never met. So he will speak better about this.
We will ask him about the project.
So during this evening, there will be this talk with the artists who will be playing here at the paper mill. There will be your concert.
Also.
A concert from Gal Gal. I'm sorry if I not pronounce in the correct way the name. I hope it's okay like that.
We will ask him what's
the
correct pronunciation.
Yeah. And then we will have visuals and light installations. And leisure sessions will happen in a special building here in the Cartiera, which is a big resonating space, has got a interesting reverberation time. So we will try to work by improvisating with the reverberation time and among us. And then there is also Leonardo Facchin, who is a very talented musician, who will do a kind of mixture between DJ set and live set, sampling sounds, and I think you will enjoy it a lot.
A lot of stuff, really, really a lot of stuff, and I'm also super curious to see what will happen in this situation. Does it have a name, the overall event, or it's still?
No, it has got a name.
Okay, okay.
And it should be, because really I'm not sure to remember it. It should be from the sunset to the stars. In Italian, it should be dal tramonto alle stelle, meaning that the event will start at 6 o'clock and it will last until the stars will appear, and also will go further.
Cool, super nice. Really super. Oh, Kirre, AKKS, of course, grew out of a punk organization called Blitz, which have been switching between fighting with Nazis and starting all around cool culture projects. That's an interesting story also. I think we will take a look at it. Thank you, Kirre. Thank you. Well, okay. Yeah, the book is available from yesterday or today, I think.
It should be available from today. I mean, I saw there is the Amazon link. You can buy it through Amazon. If it's not still available, it means that maybe it must be in processed. So maybe you could wait another couple of days, but save the link.
Yeah.
And so you
can. Yeah, you can find the link in the socials. You just need to check my socials or Johann Merrich socials. So yeah, go and check it out. And of course, it's super interesting. So I strongly suggest you to get a copy, obviously. Okay, well, I think that was an interesting conversation. I hope you enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
And yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for enjoying this conversation. I just want to remember you that, of course, I'm live streaming this new series of talks every Friday. And of course, there are other series that are going on, like for example, Under the Label, where we listen to experimental music labels' music together. And of course, there are live concerts. So of course don't forget to follow the channel, because I'm updating the dates and the time every week basically, because of course I have also a full-time job, so I need to, of course, to manage things, but I'm going to be live 3 days per week with different type of contents and series. So yeah, don't forget to follow if you like what you listen to and what you discovered today. And yeah, thank you, John.
Thank you, Andrea.
And I hope to see you very, very soon. Have a nice day, everyone. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.